Okay, this next section in Unit 7 is dealing with writing equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. So we're going to go ahead and start with finding equations of parallel lines. So in this example up at the top, the directions are to find the equation in slope-intercept form for a line that passes through this point and is parallel, I'm going to circle that word parallel, to the line y equals 4x minus 11. Let's go through the steps to find this equation. So step number 1 is to identify the slope of the given line. So this given line is y equals 4x minus 11, and it has a slope of 4, because that's the number in front of x. Well, this slope is going to be the slope of this new line that we find. So we're going to use this slope of 4. We're also going to use this point that they give us. So this point -1, -6, where x is -1 and y is -6, we're going to use all 3 pieces of information here. So in place of y, we're going to substitute in -6, then the equal sign, and then for m, we're substituting in 4, because that's our slope, times x, which will be from this point, which is -1. Then at the very end, we have plus b. So what we're doing is we have an equation now where we know everything except for b, the y-intercept. So we're going to go ahead and solve for b. So multiply 4 and -1 together to get -4. Add 4 to both sides. And we get b is equal to -2. So now we have the 2 pieces of information we need to write the equation of our line. We have the slope and we have the y-intercept. So our answer will be y equals 4x minus 2, where 4 we got from the slope and -2 was the y-intercept. Okay, let's go ahead and follow these same steps and work 1 through 4. So on number 1, they want us to find the equation of an in slope-intercept form of a line that passes through 1, 0 and is parallel to this line right here. So this line has a slope of 2. So we're going to use that slope and this coordinate. And again, all we are doing is substituting into this slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So in place of y, we have 0 equals m, which is our slope, times x, which is 1, plus b. So 0 is equal to 2 plus b. Subtracting 2 from both sides, we're getting that b is equal to -2. So now that we know the slope and we know the y-intercept, we can write the equation of our line. Y equals 2x subtract 2. Okay, number 2. This given line has a slope of -7, so we'll use that slope and this coordinate, substituting in the y equals mx plus b. We get 6 equals our slope of -7 times x, which is -2 plus b, multiplying -7 and -2 to get 14. We have 6 equals 14 plus b, and then subtracting 14 from both sides, we end up with b equal to -8. So for our final answer, we have y equals the slope of -7, and then make sure that you're putting the y and the x back into the equation as y and x. Subtract 8, since that's our y-intercept. All right, number 3. This given line has a slope of 4. Let's substitute what we know. -9 is equal to our slope of 4 times x of 7 plus b. So negative 9 equals 28 plus b. Subtracting 28 from both sides, we're getting that b is equal to negative 37. So our equation becomes y equals 4x subtract 37. So this line is parallel to this line, and it goes through this coordinate. All right, number 4. This given line has a slope of negative 5, 6. Substituting what we know into the equation of slope-intercept form, we know 7 is equal to y, so 7 equals negative 5, 6 times x, which is 3, plus b, multiplying negative 5, 6 times 3 gives us negative 5 halves, and then adding 5 halves, or adding 2.5 to both sides, b is equal to 7 plus 2.5, so 9.1/2. So for our final answer, we have an equation, y equals, our slope is a negative 5, 6, x plus the y-intercept of 9.5, or 9.5. Different ways we could write that y-intercept. Okay, so that deals with the equations of lines that are parallel. Now let's take a look at the second type. So the second type of problem with this section is to find the equation in slope-intercept form for the line that passes through this point and is perpendicular to. So now we're looking at a line that's perpendicular. So there's our difference to this line. So step 1 will be to identify the slope of the given line. Well, the slope of the given line is 4. Since we're looking for a perpendicular line, we need to change the sign of this slope. So from positive 4 to negative 4, and we need to flip it. So we're taking the opposite reciprocal. So the opposite reciprocal of 4 over 1 will give us a perpendicular slope of negative 1/4. Now this is the slope we want to use as we go through the rest of this equation, this problem. So when we substitute values in, let's see, our point was 4, negative 6. So negative 6 is equal to the perpendicular slope of negative 1/4 times x, which is 4, plus b. So the rest of this is very similar to what we just did. Negative 1/4 times 4 is negative 1. Adding 1 to both sides, should be getting that b is equal to negative 5. So now we can write our answer, which is an equation. Y equals, make sure you're using that perpendicular slope of negative 1/4 x minus 5, which was our y-intercept. All right, let's work through the last 4 problems. Notice in the instructions, we want the perpendicular line. So we pull out this slope of the given line, which is negative 1. Now the perpendicular slope would be the opposite sign, positive, and the reciprocal of 1 is just 1. So perpendicular slope of 1. Let's go ahead and substitute what we know. Negative 1 for y equals our slope of 1 times x, which is 4, plus b. Negative 1 equals 4 plus b. Subtracting 4 from both sides, we are getting b equal to negative 5. So when we write our final answer, we have y equals our perpendicular slope of 1, x, subtract 5. And you could have left this slope off and just written it as y equals x minus 5. Okay, go over to number 6. The slope of this given line is -3, but we want the perpendicular slope, which would be a positive 3 over 1. When you take the reciprocal of that, would be positive 1/3. So we're going to use positive 1/3 for our slope. Substitute what we know. 2 is equal to 1/3 times 3 plus b. So 2 is equal to 1 plus 3. Subtracting 1 from both sides, b equals 1. So our equation becomes y equals the perpendicular slope of 1/3 x plus our y-intercept, which is 1. All right, down on number 7. The slope of the given line is -2/3. The slope of the perpendicular line would be a positive 3 over 2. So this is the slope we want to use, this 3 over 2. So we have -2 equals 3 over 2 times x, which is 2, plus b. So -2 equals 3 plus b. Subtracting 3 from both sides, b is equal to a -5. So to write our solution, y equals this perpendicular slope, 3 over 2x, subtract 5. Okay, our last example. So the given line has a slope of 1/7. Since we want the perpendicular slope, we're going to use -7, or -7 over 1. Okay, substituting what we know, -4 equals our slope of -7 times -4 plus b. So -4 equals 28 plus b. Subtracting 28 from both sides, b is equal to -32. So our equation becomes y equals the perpendicular slope, -7x, subtract 32.